Now we've got 5 minutes. Okay. We've got 5 minutes. I'd like to invite Mr. Daniel Yammer, Chairman of Nation E, a company dealing with storage, energy storage. So please, in 5 minutes, introduce yourself and your company and your mission, global mission.
First of all, Emil, toda rabba, and thank you very much for having me here today. Thank you. So, Nation E was founded in 2005 due to the fact that energy changed. In my age, in your age, we did not know and we didn't experience the digital network of energy. The digital network of energy only appeared in the last 20 years. Why? Because we all had a vision to implement new energy sources into our grid. But what happened during this time? A lot of politicians underestimated basically the new infrastructure of energy. Just by laying renewable energy sources into the grid, you cannot optimize our grid, because our grid was not basically installed in 2012. It was installed hundreds of years ago, and you cannot create on old layers new technologies. So what happened? And let's start not with Israel, because I will never put my finger on Israel. Let's put a finger on Germany, because we have a guest from Germany here, so maybe later on he can basically comment on what I'm talking now. Germany was a leader in renewable energy, and they started 20 years ago heavily with solar. Germany is not very praised with solar, but as an integration it worked. So from a big solar country, they had also into wind. So after solar, Germany had also wind. After wind, they decided to have biofuel, biogas. After biogas, they said, we also need pump storage. So once of a sudden, an infrastructure that was very healthy for so many years, didn't have any blackouts, didn't have any problems with power frequency, with demand response, once of a sudden got basically rocked. What do I mean by rocked? Today, basically, every utility faces one problem. This is the unpredictability of energy. What happens if one source is not at 100%? I just heard from Emil that the future of Israel should be that the demand response should be blocked with solar. Solar is a very good choice, but it's unreliable. One cloud, and solar basically does not give us what we need. And from this cloud, we need to go into power peaking, what is very expensive. So how do we power peak? Do we take diesel? Do we take gas? Do we take whatever it is? So basically, along the time, what happened? We are trying to integrate now energy. Smart cities are not there only to communicate a new vision. Smart cities are becoming basically a profound maturity of our knowledge, because our knowledge is evolving. And what we didn't know 20 years ago, we are starting to know now. So let me basically rephrase a couple of things. Renewable energy basically needs to be integrated. What does it mean to integrate? This is a very, very big task, because it's the first time in order to integrate that we need to write software. So that means the digital network between communication, between integration and optimization is being done today on a digital network. A digital network started basically with the idea many years ago to have smart meters integrating into our grid, to manage and to understand the load, the frequency and the need of energy much better. With this kind of integration and this network basically, because it's a network, we have a possibility to integrate all of our sources on this network. That means basically the idea should be that solar should communicate with the meter should communicate with the utility should communicate basically on their demand. So that means basically if we have sun, and the sun is now steady, let's disconnect for 20 minutes and let's regulate the peak. But what happens if there is a peak and the sun is not there? So how do we do it? So maybe this was the time to integrate maybe storage. it can be storage out of pump storage, it can be storage out of lead acid. But the beauty of our network is it needs to be fully integrated, it needs to be optimized, and by being optimized, we are starting not to lose anymore. What does it mean, losing? 5% of every utility's unpredictable energy scenario makes almost every utility today almost bankrupt. Not only in Israel, in Germany, in Italy, in France, in the US. Every utility today is facing severe problem. And the severe problem became via the integration. So smart cities is not a joke. Smart cities is a must. Because in order to learn to communicate, to integrate, to optimize, to risk, balance and change the risk of us, we need to go into a digital network. The digital network, of course, has a lot of problems because, as you can see today, our networks are getting hacked, our networks are getting manipulated. And this is another layer of security, what I'm sure Emil and his team will cover. But by the time being, storage, integration of renewables need to come with software. Our company, and this is something where I would like to describe NationE, is working since many years of the integration of this kind of network. We developed the first software, and it's an Israeli software, and we can all be proud because I hope we will deploy it first with Israeli Electric. Is today a software of 5 layers. First layer is that every kind of energy source is communicating, because every energy source today is a standalone product. But if you put it together and you communicate, it doesn't mean that you can optimize it. So you need to put another layer of software into it to optimize. What does it mean to optimize? Every kind of generation has its own character. Diesel has a different character than gas. Lead acid has a different character than lithium ion. So you need to optimize and to learn basically of all the energy sources, what is their paradigm. And this is what NationE did. We analyzed all kind of energy sources and optimized it into a grid. So that means today that when we start with lithium ion to back something up, maybe after 3 minutes it makes sense to put a generator on, because we see basically return of investment is a very important wording. So after 3 minutes the generator is on 100%, maybe solar is there, so we can put the generator into sleep and we can watch on, go on solar. The idea is basically with different kind of layer of software to optimize, to secure, to integrate and let the energy communicate. And this is something new what we need to learn, that energy communicates. If we start to learn how energy communicates, how to optimize, how to integrate all kinds of energy sources into one system, what is then basically communicating with the utility, with the end user, with all the generation sources, this is the way to optimize and to lead our kids, our families and our country into a safe haven. Toda Rabba.